this week's episode, I am talking about April Affirmations. What we put out in the world, we get back in droves. Be careful what you wish for though, because not necessarily what you put out there is what you actually get back. Who is Black Bin Bag Guy and Robocop Arm? Shall we find out? Just a reminder before we get into things, to follow me on Instagram, Miss Brightside 25, and you'll find a link in my bio to sign up to my emails. But don't worry, I won't spam you. I haven't got that much time to write emails. So, let's get into it. Welcome back to the Power of Positivity podcast with me, Miss Brightside. So, you've got me back this week, and for a few more weeks, until I can get my next guest on. But I really hope you've enjoyed listening to some of my guests recently. The wonderful Joy Ebbio and my mum. It's been absolutely lush having somebody to speak to and having another voice on the podcast, really. What have I been up to this week? Well, you may have seen on my Instagram or TikTok, I had a meltdown last Saturday. Absolute breakdown. Because I tried, and I'm not over-exaggerating now, this is the honest truth, I tried every single pair of blue jeans on in M&S. And you might say to yourself, Lisa, why are you shopping in M&S? I've got to that point of my age where I'm a curvy girl. I need to get a pair of jeans that fit me. And let me tell you, is it River Island? I said, River Island, do not make jeans for curvy girls. Well, not in my area anyway. So I had to go there. But I was bitterly disappointed. One is a cigarette leg, one is a carrot leg. One was like a boy fit, mom fit jean. I was like, do you know what? I just wanted to be, I did want to be skinnier last week because I tried the jeans on, none of them were working. I had to go up a size. I just felt frumpy. So I've been good this week and I've eaten a salad. I do love my body, but there's sometimes where we have a bit of a meltdown in it. When you're in that changing room and you're like, oh, do you know what? Why? Every single thing I put on just makes me look like a pig. As I say, that's why I don't like being called babe. A pig with a piece of string on, a piece of meat before you cut the string off. That's what I felt like. Anyway, feeling much more positive this week. We have got a little bit of sunshine and yeah, I've got big FOMO today because my friends are going out and I'm not going out with them. I am elsewhere, but I'm very jealous. I've got a bit of FOMO. Right, that's enough waffle for me. What are we talking about this April? This April, I want to talk about April Affirmations. So I'm very much a believer in what you put out into this world, you get back. So April Affirmations. What am I talking about when I talk about this? Well, for me, it took a very long time, like I said, to find myself tonight. And I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know who I am. But when I found Lisa at the good old age of 30, I was like, this is me. People don't like me. Fuck them. I am swearing. I will put an explicit warning on my podcast. But seriously, if you don't like who I am, they don't need to be in my life. And then I started deciding, right, let's put some extra affirmations into the world. So I had my house. I think I'd moved in by then. And I was like, right, I'm going to put out into the world that I want this next. I want a really good job. I left my job there where I was, but I was like, you know what? I'm ready for something new. And a job ad would come out. I remember saying to my mother, do you know what? This job is mine. I've decided this job is mine. She's like, yeah, you go for it. And I was like, if I was going to drive to work, this is the route I would drive. And I convinced myself that job was mine. Now, it doesn't always work, I know this. But I put out into the world. And not only that, I blinking grafted, did super loads of research, ended up watching YouTube videos on the company to find out more about them, did a presentation, managed to get a job. So I was starting to get settled in my life. Started to realise, super happy. And you know what? I was totally and utterly content being single. Loved being on my own. But I got to the point then, a year or two in, when I was like, you know what? As much as I'm totally content on my own, and I am very happy and I'm not settling, as I've mentioned before, I was like, you know what? I'm ready to put out into the world that I would like to meet somebody now, on my terms. So that's where the dating stories worked. So Barry Island was a very long time ago and you've heard that story. But now I'm going to lay you into the world of my affirmations, what I was putting out there and what I was getting back. So one of the very first dates I went on, I decided that, right, I'm going to put out into the world, I want somebody who's really kind. And I was like, big believer in the full moon. So I was writing my affirmations down, putting my affirmations book in the moonlight, putting my little crystals out. Look, anything to get that positive mindset, I was going with it. You know, love that thought that all that energy you put out works. So anyway, I'm going to tell you all about now. I don't think I've told you this guy. I'm going to call this guy Black Bag Man. So this one, every time, this is what affirmation's about. Every time I went on a date, I'd come home and I'd be like, right, now I know I put that affirmation out there and technically you met it, but I think we missed out some extras. So I'd add a little bit on. I was sitting there, I was like, right, what do I want? I was like, right, I want somebody who's kind. Nothing really shallow. When I was younger, you want shallow things, didn't you? But when I was older, I was like, do you know what? Somebody's going to be kind to me. Somebody's going to be respectful, treat me right, and be chatty. I think that's what I put there the first time. Decides now, my best friend, she put up with a lot. I wouldn't tell him. I'd be like, right, I'd be talking to somebody maybe for like 2 days, because I ain't investing like 3 weeks of chat to meet them and realise, oh my God, me and you just do not, no, you're not my cup of tea. There's nothing wrong with that. I might not be their cup of tea either. But I'm not wasting all my time putting out the atmosphere of 3 weeks of chatting. I got to the point in my life where I was like, 2 days worth of chatting, let's go out and catch up. Actually, I'll talk about Black Bin Bag Man at the end. I'll tell you about it. But I need to tell you a bit of a story before that. So, when I was doing my affirmations of my dating, one of the dates I went on before that was was meeting people from Cardiff way, get on the train, super nervous, like trying to work out what trains meet up where, being on the dating websites, guess on the train now, right, nervous, midweek, so rushing from work, you know what it's like. Off I go on the train. Get there, meet this guy, this is Robocop arm, I think I mentioned him before, so Robocop arm, goes down there, seems like he's a nice guy, thought, yeah, seems like he's kind, thoughtful. Meets up with him, goes to Las Iguanas. Thought, yeah, good place to go. The problem is, I realised very quickly in my life is, when you're eating meals and you're eating food, gets in the way, right? I just want to know, within half an hour, do I like you? If you're having a meal, like you're potentially going to be there for a couple of hours, and I'm like, oh, do you know what? It's a lot. If you don't feel like somebody, it's a long time to be with somebody. But anyway, this is before I learned that. Sitting in Las Iguanas, he's like, oh, you okay? Thought, yeah, he's not bad looking, seems kind. Sits down on a little table for two. It was like a Thursday night. I got back in the day, I know I talked to him at the beginning, but I loved him. I had my little high-waisted, and I was really petite then, little high-waisted, skinny Miss Selfridge jeans on, like the super skinny ones, with a one button and a little crop top with flowers on it. And I felt really nice, my little leather jacket, and I had my hair half up, half down, like back-combed it, So this was a few years ago, this is when all this was in style. I was like, oh, bet fabulous. Little pair of boots on, lush. Anyway, thought I'd tell you my outfit. He rocks up with a pair of jeans, not the best pair of jeans, but I was like, no, I can work with that. And this oversized shirt thing. And he had his Robocop arm out. So he had a tattoo on his arm, that's why he's called Robocop arm. He sat down, he had a massive tattoo on his arm of all the skin had been ripped off and all the Robocop elements were underneath. And he had loads of other tattoos, so that's how I started the conversation. Asked how work was, as things were going, he was like, yeah, not bad. And he laid concrete, right? So he chatted to me about laying concrete, me, try anything to be interested. I was like, oh yeah, how much sand and cement in that? Because I will always make an effort to chat to people. Anyway, go sort of food. I'm super nervous. Like I said, I've long been back on the dating scene, and I'm like, oh, do you know what? Let's keep this cheap and cheerful. Guess myself a starter. He's like, you having a main meal? I was like, no, I'll just have a starter and a drink. So I said, today a Coke, and didn't even have a drink of alcohol, but I had a little starter, tiny little starter. And he's like, oh, I'm going to have a main meal. I'm like, oh, lovely. And he had fajitas or something. Anyway, so they're now chatting, and the longer I'm thinking, we're 20 minutes in, and I'm thinking, I'm not quite sure if this person's for me. Didn't do anything wrong. But after about 35 minutes of conversation about concrete, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I don't think I could do this long term. But he was pleasant enough, nice enough. And we were chatting. The waitress come over a few times. He finished his food. He's like, do you want dessert? I was like, no. He's like, oh, do you know what? I love dessert. I was like, lovely. Yeah, dessert. And I was like, I was just thinking to myself, right. Oh, I was like, oh, the next train's going in a bit now. I got to get back because, no excuses. I've got to get back because, it's a long journey back to Merthyr. And he's like, all right, okay. Anyway, talking. Finishes and he goes, the bill comes. Shall we split the bill? He goes. I looks at him. I thought, hang on now. I better starter. He's like, oh, well, I thought we were all continental now when we split the bill. And do you know what? I'm terribly ashamed to say this. I was like, oh, all right. And then I was like, what am I doing? I was like, oh, I'll just pay 20 quid. My starter was not £20. My drink was not £20. But I'm all for continental splitting. Or just pay for what I had. I'm all for paying my way on a date. Not a problem whatsoever. But making me pay half of his meal. I was thinking to myself, massive red flag. I'm paying for the food I haven't even eaten it. So anyway, says to him, I was like, oh, lovely, I guess. He's like, oh, so lovely to meet you. I'd love to meet up again. And then the constructive messages, it's like, if you've been there, you've been there. They always start with, so lovely to meet you tonight. Had a really nice time. But I just don't feel like we clicked. I feel like I've drafted that message a few times. And I'm all for not dragging somebody along. If I don't like them, I tell them straight away. So that was Robocop on. So after that night, put out into the affirmation world. Do you know what? I might want him to be nice, might want him to be kind, but I want him to be fair. So that's what I added on, was fairness. Added on to the list. Goes out on the next date. The next date I decided from now on, I will not go for a sit-down meal anymore. I am not putting myself through that pain of sitting in front of somebody. So put out the affirmations, wrote them in my little book. I was like, right, this time, this is what I want. This is my affirmation. Someone's kind. Someone's, all those things. And added on fairness. Lovely. Thought, yeah, that's what I want. So, get back on the dating apps. God, there's some weirdos on there. Be careful when you're out there, girls and guys. Chatting away. Right. Thought, oh, this person's not bad. Not from far away. Lovely. Decides to go on a date. Decides now, let's go for a cup of coffee. Text my best friend last minute, because this is what I always do. Claire, just let you know, just in case I get murdered. Not girl sick, guess. Just in case I get murdered, my location settings are on. This is what I'm going on a date with, and I'm going in 20 minutes. I'll let you know where it goes. Anyway, send. So, Claire knows where I'm going. I met him in Brightside Park. Lovely. I had a chat. Gets in his car. And he's like, oh, should we get a coffee? Lovely. We drive to get a coffee. And then he starts to drive up. He's like, oh, I know where to go, he said. We end up, if you know the Brecon Beacons at all, in the middle of the Brecon Beacons, where there's no phone signal, in a car, drinking a cup of coffee. And I think to myself, was this a good idea? This is black bin bag guy. So as soon as I met him, we got in the car, I started talking. I realised this boy was absolutely not over his ex. He said about 15, we had the same name as his ex. So he downloaded his whole previous relationship, and I listened. I was like, oh, how did that go then? And then he was like, oh, she blackbagged me, she was throwing my bags out the window, all my clothes were over the garden, and he was like, yeah, and he's like, I didn't do anything wrong, and I'm thinking, something's all right, So up this mountain now, drinking coffee, and I'm thinking to myself, right, this is the next thing I'm going to put up the affirmation was, don't go up mountains with random people. So I was like, right, utterly still obsessed with his ex. But guess what I did? I was like, he does seem quite nice. Perhaps I should see him again. Big mistake. We meet back up in Brightside Park again. Goes a loop around the lake. If you know the lake, it's bloody beautiful. 3/4 of the way round. I was like, no, you're not for me. First of all, 5 minutes in, I'm thinking to myself, why did I come back? Nice enough boy. But I was thinking to myself, all I heard about was the other Lisa, and I thought to myself, yep, definitely not over it. Why did you think you could go on a second date? So we binned him off. And one of my favourite things to say is, if they were really, he was tidy, but, if somebody was a bit sassy, or a bit mean, or a bit unkind, I would just quote song lyrics to them, and the girls will know this, because I've heard it loads of times. I'd end my text with, Peace out, A-Town. Mic drop. Ooh, 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 ooh. A bit of Usher. Not that I sound like it anyway, because we know I can't sing any songs. So, affirmation list changed. Added on all those things with kind. And then I added on, doesn't obsess over their ex. Added to that list of affirmations. This guy as well, he's like, I run a food van. We still arguing over the money from it. And, I think she still loves me. And I'm thinking, right, wait, why did I come again? Telling me about how much she's going to be a millionaire. And I'm like, you know what? Money don't motivate me. I'm a great believer in, like said, you could add to my life, not take away from it. But literally, I was like, yes, at one point, I was like, literally, I'm financially stable. I got a house, got a job. I am living my best life, my friends. I am telling you now, I'm not settling for a black bin bag guy who obsessed over sex. Nice guy, but he had the peace out, A-Town ending message. Lovely to meet you. Nice to see you. Don't want to see you again. Ta-ra. So, I just want you to think about what you're putting out into this world and all your affirmations. So, I believe what you put, like I said, what you put out into the world, you get back in heapfuls. That's what I'm all about, being as kind as possible. Don't get me wrong. We all know there's dickheads in this world. There are people who do not deserve your energy or respect. And there's time and a place to lose your patience and lose your temper, but where possible, because that's getting their bad energy back. I'm all about put all that kindness out there and hopefully I'll get kindness back. When you're writing your affirmations now, on the full moons, I don't know when the full moons are, I should have checked, but I haven't. Get your full moon affirmations written out. Make sure being really thorough with that aspiration list, because the universe or the energy, whatever you're putting out there will come back. And don't forget, what you put out there doesn't always come back in the same way you think it will. Like I said, when I was writing my little aspiration list for somebody I wanted in my life, oh my God. Yeah, they did give me somebody who was kind. Yeah, they did give me somebody who was fair. And the unusualness I go in with there, wild. Put that positive out there, because it definitely comes back. People remember you for that kindness you showed. So get your aspiration list ready, but make sure you're being really specific, guys. Not too specific, obviously. Don't be vain and be like, oh, good looking. For me, that's not a core affirmation requirement. You need to put out there, right, kind. I think as you get older, things change. And when you're younger, you're like a bane. And you think, what's the point in having somebody? I said this before. Looks die, personality doesn't. Literally, I want somebody who I could giggle with and laugh with. So you got to make sure you're putting that out there, guys. Get what you want. Put out that fabulousness into the atmosphere. Anyway, I've waffled on. I will get some new guests on to talk about some new subjects, but April is going to be Affirmation April. And I will be telling you some more dating stories, but in much more detail. I'll tell you next. I think I'm going to talk to you about the rock climber and maybe even thermal curtains because they were interesting characters. Remember, it's not your body that's the issue. It's all the genes that don't fit you. And not being funny, don't conform to the fashionistas. I have bought my first wide leg pair of jeans. I'm not sure if I'm in love with them yet. But I'll keep you updated. Have an absolutely amazing week. Thanks for listening. If you've liked what you've listened to, do you fancy giving me a cheeky review on Podchaser? Or if there's something you'd like me to discuss, just write a comment under one of my posts on Instagram. Just to finish up, remember, see the positives, even in the little things. Have an absolutely amazing week. Chat soon.